I've said in several videos before that Eddie Hearn's relentless push for Conor Benn to fight Chris Eubank Jr. is very strange to me, especially given the controversy when the fight got called off, the backlash from the public over the failed tests. In normal circumstances, you'd think that they just move on to a different opponent. Bear in mind, Eubank Jr. is 2 weight classes above Conor Benn. But no, Eddie Hearn is still relentlessly pursuing this fight. And I've speculated that perhaps it's because he doesn't really believe that Conor Benn is good enough to cut it at world level at his natural weight class of 147 pounds. If he has him step up 2 weight classes to fight Eubank Jr., if he loses, he can say, well, the guy was just too big, stepped up 2 weight classes, and still be viable back down at his natural division of welterweight. Whereas if he were to go fight Terence Crawford or Jaron Ennis, who's now the IBF champion, for one, he's not going to get a massive payday like he would off the Eubank Jr. fight. And if he loses, particularly if he loses badly, his commercial value will drop a lot more than it would have done if he'd lost to Eubank Jr. So I suspect that Eddie Hearn sees the Eubank Jr. fight as high risk, yes, but also very, very high reward commercially. Whereas putting Conor Benn in with Terence Crawford or Jaron Ennis is also very high risk, but the reward ain't great, relatively speaking. Now, with that being said, negotiations for this Eubank-Benn fight seem to have hit an impasse. We've been promised by Eddie Hearn that the fight's going to happen, an announcement is imminent. At one point, he was even saying that he was confident the fight was going to happen in the UK. In fact, wasn't he saying the fight was going to happen this year, not too long ago? But this situation with the British Boxing Board of Control, UKAD, etc., their appeal, presumably isn't going as smoothly for Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn as Hearn has been making out, because he's been saying that Conor Benn's cleared to box, shouldn't have any issue fighting in the UK, he's not banned, but yet and still, the fight hasn't been signed. What's the holdup? And now Eddie Hearn in interviews is saying there's about 3 or 4 days, something like that, to resolve this issue and get the fight on, or Conor Benn's gonna fight somebody else. And Conor Benn has called out, believe it or not, Jaron Ennis, the IBF welterweight champion. Does Eddie Hearn want him to fight Jaron Ennis? Conor Benn might truly believe he can beat him. I don't know. There's a thin line between self-belief and delusion, a very thin line. Fighters, of course, need an extreme amount of self-belief, especially at the highest levels of boxing. You will find yourself in scenarios where you are the only one who believes you can beat a certain guy. Even members of your own team don't think you can do it in some instances. So your self-belief is going to have to be unshakable. Muhammad Ali said that his team didn't really believe he could beat George Foreman. That's the vibe he got from them going into that fight, but he believed in himself to such an extent that it didn't even matter. Maybe Conor Benn has got that type of belief or got that type of delusion, and we'll find out whether it's belief or delusion if and when he steps in the ring against Jaron Ennis. Now, obviously, as a welterweight contender, you should believe in yourself. You should believe that you can beat Ennis and beat Terence Crawford, etc. But will we get to find out whether he actually can? Will Eddie Hearn permit that fight to take place? If he does, do you guys think that Conor Benn could surprise us, either by beating Jaron Ennis or giving a very good account of himself in a losing effort? Because I want to say most people seem to think that it's actually a mismatch or virtually a mismatch in favor of Ennis. Whatever the case may be, I'd like to see it. I'm more interested in that fight than I am in the Eubank Jr. fight. Always have been. Obviously, my priority at welterweight would be Terence Crawford versus Ennis, but failing that, let's see Conor Benn fight him. Why not? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.